Hello, and welcome to Networking Unleashed, Building Profitable Connections. Welcome to the show, folks. I'm your host, Michael Forman, and you're listening to the podcast where networking is more than just an awkward handshake and bad coffee. It's an art and a talent. But here's the twist, it's an art and talent you can actually learn. Yes, even if you're the person hiding in the corner at every event pretending to check emails. Networking isn't just a nice skill to have, it's a game changer. When you get good at it, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. More connections, more opportunities, more profits. It's like unlocking a cheat code for life. So whether you're the life of the party or the just let me just stay home and text type, we've got something for you. So stick around. Let's turn those awkward small talk moments into big wins. Now, I've got an amazing guest for you today. His name is Anders, and he is, well, he's a speaker, an author, and a magician, and a founder of Engagify, if I say that correctly. I'm going to butcher the rest of it. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow Anders to give you his background, his bio, and we'll move on from there. Welcome to the show, Anders.
Oh, thanks for having me, Michael. When you said butcher it, usually it's my last name that gets butchered, which is
Notice I,
is French is Boulanger. It's French
okay,
for
well,
baker, but it looks
notice I
like
didn't say
Boulanger.
it. Right.
That's
Okay.
right. Yeah,
So,
that's right. So, and I have a Swedish first name and a French last name, so one of them usually gets messed up. So you nailed the first
okay.
name, so that's great.
Okay.
So yeah, Michael, you're right. I'm a magician originally. That's how I got started. I got when I was 5 years old. I got a little Fisher Price magic set for Christmas, and started doing magic at show and tell and at school. And got to be 12 years old. Started doing birthday parties. Then I ended up doing fairs and festivals as I grew older, paid my way through university. I got a 4-year degree in physics and then never really used that degree. I just kept on with the magic, doing conferences and corporate events. I put a suit on, that kind of thing, so that the same, my magic evolved. And then I got back in 2007 now, I got trained by a man named Joel Bauer, who was, kind of the best who ever lived at trade show infotaining, meaning you're performing as an entertainer in a trade show booth, but the whole time you're actually communicating a message about the company to entice visitors to stop, to listen, and hopefully take action and go on a deeper booth journey, at that particular client's booth, right? So I started doing that more and more and built up our business. So we were not just me, but other certified infotainers that work for Engagify are working for companies like Microsoft, Siemens, ABB, Fortinet, billion-dollar technology companies that we work for. And then there's something that came out of this where we noticed there were some people maybe not as comfortable connecting with people, maybe not as comfortable working a trade show booth. And there's so many parallels, Michael, of being at a trade show and networking, right? Like in a lot of ways, they're the same, one and the same. And so what we found is we needed a training to make sure that the booth staff were taking full advantage of the crowds that we were attracting to the booth, right? Sometimes we'd get a big crowd of people and we'd turn them over to the booth staff and they'd go, any questions? And then they would just walk away. They wouldn't engage. So
Right.
we started creating different trainings, whether it's for the engineer doing the demos, whether it's for the subject matter experts doing the presentations, whether it's just, general booth staff, how to work a booth and how to stop people in the aisles, talk with them and qualify them. And then even during the pandemic, there was a shift too, because of course there were no events. So we were teaching virtual engagement, meaning how do we attract someone's attention and keep their focus on you through a virtual meeting, whether you're selling, whether you are, just meeting, maybe it's engaging your team, that sort of thing. So everything we do, it really, really does revolve around engagement. And that's what Engagify does.
Engagify does. That's right. It's a good name for it. Okay, so how can businesses maximize their networking potential at trade shows and industry events?
Well, I think for one, a lot of people need to, and even including myself, need to give yourself permission to be more of yourself at a show like that. And for some, it's easier than others, right? Like how people are wired, what people are comfortable in doing. But I find myself, I kind of flick a switch where I know this is what is required in this environment. And it does require a great amount of energy. So I think there's something about, finding, we call it an engaging personality, but finding that sweet spot of yourself, even if you are, the classic joke about engineers is, how do you tell an extroverted engineer from an introverted engineer? Well, the extroverted engineer will actually look at your feet as they speak to you instead of their own, of course, right? So, but is there a way we can just get a little bit more out of you, right? To be able to make these connections? Because sometimes we have to take some chances. We have to, one of the things that we see in trade shows as people are walking by, just trying to stop someone, you're dealing with rejection on multiple times in a minute, potentially, right? Like if you tried to actually stop someone walking by. And, if we take that personally, that's people will just like go hide in the closet of the trade show booth, right? We kind of can't do that. So it's that idea of what is this, kind of part of you that you can bring to the show that is a little bit bigger than normally are. And because of that, it's not really you, right? We can kind of almost protect ourselves. And so like, hey, some will, some won't. So what, who's next, right? Like just embrace that sort of motto so that, because there's so many people to meet, right? We can't take it personally. So that's one of the things that I like to see is just people kind of bringing it and bringing that bigger version of themselves.
You consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I'm definitely extroverted in a way. Like I have two kids. One takes after my wife. One takes after me, and it's very apparent, that seeing the difference. I've always wanted to be on stage and perform, so I would pretty much say I'm an extrovert in that way. So in some ways, I feel like I don't know what it's like for an introvert. So I always have to remind myself that it's not as easy, for people who aren't wired that way or don't prefer to engage that way.
Okay. You're talking about the booths and attracting attention and getting engage the customers or clients, potential clients. And there's a plethora of booths, and there's so many to choose from. What do you have that you really have that extra little thing to get their attention?
Well, one of the things that, dopamine is one of these neurotransmitters. What captures our attention is norepinephrine and dopamine. So norepinephrine is the stress neurotransmitter, right? Like this idea that we don't want to put our potential clients under stress, even though, if there was danger, it would take our full attention, right? Like that's how that works from a biological evolutionary point of view. Typically, we don't want to do that, right? So the other side is, what's in it for me? What is that? The you focused benefits? Are there things that we want to eat, right? The things that, that idea going back again, evolutionary. So dopamine spikes are typically rewards. So this is where you go back to the giveaways at a trade show. Why are there giveaways? Because getting things free makes us, ooh, for me, right? Special,
Right.
we feel good. And so typically giving something, whether that is an experience, maybe, some booths, you got the classic massage, thing happening. Of course, different giveaway items or gifts. I never like to call them like, I like to call them a gift as opposed to sometimes people call them, trinkets and trash. Like, let's not diminish their value. Let's support their value, right? Like
Okay.
these days they call them swag a lot, right? As the gifts. So that's one of the things that's going to possibly capture that attention. But unless you upsell their time and attention into a deeper, richer booth experience, they're just going to go, hey, thanks, I'm out of here, right? So how you use your interpersonal skills, when you meet that person and connect with those people, if you're able to start a conversation and find out maybe where they're from, find some commonalities, find some things that can unite the two of you. That person is probably just going to take it and run. So that's where, that's where our trainings come in, where we're bringing this attention to these skills that come naturally to some and some not so much, right? But the more we're able to raise the bar in the booth to create meaningful interactions, the better the chance we're going to have booth visitors listen to what it is that differentiates the company. It's going to, find out why they should buy. What is that marketing message? So that's really, a big part of it is the dopamine. I do have another kind of framework, if you like, Michael, about how to make what you talk about more engaging. Would that be okay to share?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So we use it as it's an acronym, SAVE U. So the word save and then just the letter U. And SAVE U is helpful because if you ever find yourself losing the attention of an audience or a group of people or one person even, this will save you. Okay, so I'm going to walk through each of the letters. So the first S is simple. Okay, you got to make things simple and easy in terms of the language, in terms of your vocabulary, in terms of making things. My original acronym was much longer. And I was like, okay, I got to listen to my own advice here. So this is only 5 letters. So, it's okay, better than it was before, right? So how can we simplify using, again, acronyms, alliterations, rhymes, making your messaging pithy and interesting, right? So that's one thing. All too often we're working in an industry where we have the curse of knowledge. And we tend to lose people because we assume everyone knows what we know, right?
That's right.
And so that's a dangerous place. So making sure everything's simple. The A is for authority. And that authority is not just like I'm important, but the idea that this information is coming from a place that maybe you're an expert. Perhaps it's how you talk about this information. And I'll give you a quick example, Michael. If I was talking about what I'm talking about now, Michael, and I was going up in my intonation all the time, I wouldn't sound very credible, would I? It would sound like, are you asking me a question or are you telling me, Anders? I'm not sure, right? So how you carry yourself, how you're dressed lends to that authority. Right? It's like a doctor who's not wearing a white coat, doctor is wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants. We're going to go, ugh, right? We're not going to want to listen to them. Right. So that authority piece is, setting yourself up for success in that way. Okay. So the simple, A is the authority. V is for varying the senses or visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Michael, I know you've probably have seen all kinds of personality assessments and ways of slicing and dicing how people operate. Sure. One of the ways, the learning styles is the visual, seeing, auditory, hearing, kinesthetic, feeling. And so when we talk about something, that's an auditory term, right? One might be able to see the differences in how others speak. See the differences, visual. Others speak, auditory again, right? And then so the feeling that someone's words give, again, feeling kinesthetic. So mixing those up allows you to almost shotgun blast being relatable to more of your audience. If we talked for a while, Michael, and you were on my podcast, we'd be able to pick up on each other's typically with their preferred modality, which is a highfalutin way of saying, what is your preferred sense? Right. And you're watching me, we're on this virtual call. You see my hands moving all over the place and I talk pretty fast. That is a hint that I'm a visual person. So you would probably talk about things being crystal clear or how does this look to you to engage me? But because we're at a trade show and we're talking to so many people, if you use multiple senses in your language, you're going to engage everyone basically. We're kind of getting everyone on board. So it makes it more engageable if you will, if that's not a real word, but I'm going to use it in this case.
It's
Okay.
used. That's right.
So that's the S, the A, the V. Okay. The E is emotional for in save you. And emotional meaning not we're trying to make people cry, but we want to involve their emotions so that they remember the moment, right?
Instead of a
Whenever we
certain
have,
way.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we can do that by the way that we are with the rapport that we have with that person, right? If someone's in tune with you, they're going to feel your feelings as well, right? So, perfect example is one of the things I do in my trade show presentation. I'll have a picture of a frustrated man pulling his hair out kind of idea, right? And I'll say, how many people feel like this in your current role, right? And then people raise their hands. And we haven't even talked about why. But he's got this problem, he's got A problem, B problem, and C problem. How many of you same people can relate? Yeah? And I'm seeing all these nods of heads. I'm saying it like, oh, what a pain, right? Here's this frustrated guy, you got this happen. And everyone's going, yeah. So they're with me. And I'm meeting them where they're at, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of we're feeling the pain together. And then as the presentation progresses, then it becomes this, but what if there was a way that we could X, Y, and Z? How would that change how you operate your company? Right. And now we're getting into a little bit more of an optimistic or this asking this question or getting into this place in their minds that they're thinking about what would it be like if they didn't have these problems. And now we're able to kind of take them on this emotional journey to like, now we've got this happening. You're going to be able to see it all on one single pane of glass on the dashboard. You're going to be able to measure all this. And now I can kind of ramp up and get excited about it. And they can get excited with me. So when I say emotions, it's like let people feel things. And in business, we're so, hesitant to get emotional about it. Everything's all clear cut data, right? And so getting emotional with people, you can sweep people away with your energy, Michael, right? Like and in a personal interaction, people like, people who are enthusiastic about something, right? Enthusiasm is contagious. And I think there's something magical about that. Okay. So that's what the emotion is about. And then the last one, the U, just the letter U, is for you focused. And we kind of covered that a little bit, talking about what's in it for them. Everybody's favorite radio station. That's the classic cliche, right? WIIFM, what's in it for me? And so making sure that it is focused on their outcomes, right? And so everyone's goes through life wondering, what can I eat? What can I, like evolutionary, you want to mate with something, you want to eat something, and you want to avoid being eaten yourself and being killed, right? So we're always getting
Right.
away from the danger and going towards what we want. And so that's the other piece is making sure whatever topic content you have, make it about what they want or make it about what they don't want to happen to them too, like avoiding these pitfalls, right? That'll get their attention as well. And so that's our little Save You acronym.
And that's wonderful. I'm trying to place everything that you just said with the Save You acronym within the networking world, and
Sure.
it's so close. It's so you be authentic, you be present, you listen to the other person, you see their reactions. Everything is parallel to somebody networking in an event when
Yeah.
a trade show is an event. So it's remarkable how you have different fields, different career fields here, but you're doing the same things because it works.
Yeah.
It actually works. So that's why I was very intent on listening to each one of these letters and what they meant. And every time you said another letter, it correlates to something regarding networking. So it's all great, it's all wonderful, and you did an outstanding job, explaining all of that. One thing after, okay, so you've told us about the engagement. You told us about how you get them in at the tables and everything. What about prior to the event? What about prior to the trade show? How would you advise your client how to network properly to get the most out of the trade show?
Well, trade show marketing typically is split up into before, during, and after the show, right? So you're trying to make these connections, find these people who would be qualified leads, And one thing before I go further, Michael, one of the delineations I made in my mind when we were talking about the world of networking and the world of trade shows, I think in trade shows it's a little bit more sales forward, meaning we know why we're here. Let's cut to the chase. Let's see if there's a fit, right? Where in networking, you don't even know whether you might do business with them or you might be able to connect them with someone else. And it's a little bit more, I feel like, relationship first, and trade shows sometimes has a little bit more of a pointed,
I have to tell
focus.
you, when you network, you're always looking to give, not receive.
Yes.
Okay, so you're with that thought of giving, you're constantly giving at a networking event, but at the trade show, aren't you giving also and not really receiving? You're not
Mm,
receiving until afterwards when you get them in, then you're getting that
yeah.
little interaction. But
Yes.
you're looking to connect with them, to give them
Yeah.
something, to make them aware so they can have that relationship with you.
Yeah. The reason is we are always working for companies at the show who want more leads, right? They want more leads. So when I think about giving first, well, maybe they're giving a giveaway, but then they're taking a scan, right? They're getting
Yeah,
that person's information. So
right,
that's where, I
right.
mean, it's a little bit more transactional at a
Yep,
trade show,
it is.
but it's still important. If you want to establish long-term clients or customers, I think, relationship it needs to be formed. And I really think that comes out of giving first. You're right. As far as the kind of the before, what I was going to say is before the event, during the event, after the event, before the event, there's email marketing. There's people, trying to invite people to special events. These might be offsites. These might be places where you can get people in a place where their guard is down a little bit more. And so we see this too, where there's more and more of these kind of executive roundtables happening. Because if you're selling to the C suite, you get them in a room with a bunch of other executives and they feel safe in that environment because they're with their peers. And they also feel more safe sharing because they're with their peers.
Well, you
And
have that
and
higher level of trust.
yeah,
That trust factor is so important. Know you, like you, trust you, they'll do business with you. At the C-suite level, they already have that trust level built. And so you don't have to really think about that. You can go on to the next level. So trust is so crucial in everything that we do, but it's kind of like a known entity once you get involved with the C-suite executives. With the networking, with what I do, it starts with the C-suite, but then it trickles down. What you're doing is that it trickles over. It's not trickling down. So what you're doing is such a higher level than what I'm doing, because you're getting that instantaneous reaction to the person, and you actually are getting something. So you're covering all these different things when I'm just doing this one. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
well, no,
Um,
I totally see your point, and in some ways, I think to trade shows, just because so much money is invested in these
yes,
events, it's kind of like you're pushing the agenda harder than you would because we need ROI, right? And
yes.
so everything is accelerated, everything is so much higher stakes. And because of that, we just kind of get the hurry up offense happening on all these interactions and relationships, right?
Right, right. Very good. Okay, so let's take you and your clients. Okay, your client being the owner of the trade show table. How has technology, digital displays, social media, everything together, how has it changed the way that you connect with them at trade shows and your clients at trade shows?
Yeah, well, definitely when you talk about connecting, the LED screens and the eye candy that can be done, and you'd mentioned a trade show table. It's like these are booths that are,
Booth,
1,600
yeah,
square feet, or they could be much bigger. I've worked in many $1 million plus booths, built, and then the whole trade show becomes like a mini city, right? For 3 days.
absolutely.
But yeah, definitely the LED screens are getting cheaper and cheaper. So you're seeing bigger and bigger screens. And what's interesting, and I've taken some pictures of this, is that now the technology is almost dwarfing the people. So you can have such a big screen, but such a small presenter that is literally overshadowed because it's so bright, they're backlit, and now they look like they're in shadow, that we're not connecting with the human as much. So we have to be careful that we don't overpower the actual people, because bottom line, no matter how much you click from place to place, you'll never replace face to face.
Oh,
Right.
good.
So we need to remember it's still about the humans. It's still about the people. So that's one of the things. I mean, another thing that it used to be such a pain in the butt to collect lead information. They used to have to fill out a form or whatever. And now it's just a badge scanner, and it's so quick. You put it on. So there's some things that have streamlined that so that you don't have to, either write down the stuff for them and take yourself out of the conversation. You're able to kind of, or people are doing voice recordings of either notes afterwards. So after you met the person, instead of you were head down in your phone trying to type notes while you were talking, you were able to keep face to face, eye to eye with that person. And as soon as they leave, you hit the record button that automatically transcribes your notes, and you do a data dump of everything you just remembered about this person,
Right.
so that they're in your notes. So when the follow up happens, it can be so much more personal, so much more relevant, right? So that definitely, is unique technology. There is also technology. We have something that we call it crowd metrics, and this is analytics on the booth. So we put sensors in the booth, and what ends up happening is afterwards, you're able to then look at where were the best areas of the booth, or what was drawing people in, and being able to then optimize your booth further for your next show, right? What are the lessons learned from this? How many impressions did we make? How many walk-bys were there? How many engaged visitors did we have? And so from that, it's not really helping the interactions of this show, but you may be able to take those learnings in the next show. No, we need more booth staff on this edge because there were so many more people there, right? Maybe we were missing out on the people walking by, right? So technology continues to evolve, and of course, it gets applied to business in all areas.
Yeah, that's great. I had no idea about those matrix and things like that. And I apologize for saying table. I am well aware of booths,
All right.
and the small cities that they've become. But you mentioned follow up. How do you follow up with your clients?
For me, follow up, I use a lot of email, and I use a lot of email. I use a lot of video. So
Okay.
you
Video
you
is
can
good.
see me right now. Yeah, and so I've kind of like a little studio here, and I'll make one-off videos for a person, so they are personalized. So I have a little whiteboard that I hold up, and I would write, "Hi, Michael," press play or something like that, and so they know that I made this video just for them, and
I
because I'm always
I have
making
two
videos.
clients that do that. Two
Okay,
clients that
yeah,
that do that. Yep,
yeah.
absolutely.
So that's probably how I follow up. Most of the time, we do have different things. We also use a service called Handwritten, which is, are you familiar with
Handy
that, Michael?
handy written. Yes, I'm a
Yeah,
big one
Handwritten.
for
Yeah,
writing thank you notes.
yeah,
And instead of if I'm in a rush, I'm not going to handwrite the thank you notes. I'll go online and use handy written. So
yeah,
yes, it's a very good
yeah.
website.
Yeah, I really like that. And so that has that personal touch, although it is faster and more scalable. And so it's kind of, you know, it's one of those things where we keep trying to scale authenticity, right? Like, but can you really do that, right? Like, or is that becoming inauthentic if it's just going out to the masses? But this is one of those ways where it kind of walks the line of something that is convenient, easy to do, but appreciated on the other end. So
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question. All of this has been wonderful. It tells me how well you're doing, but I'm sure you didn't get here without making any mistakes. So, what mistakes generally have you made, and how could you avoid them?
Wow. Okay. Almost. We at my company, I have a chief strategy officer who works with me all the time, and we're always looking at learnings. And what did we learn this quarter? What did we learn this quarter? And I kind of wish I had my learning library up right now, because there'd be all kinds of things that they would come up. One of the ones that comes to mind, and this is just because we have different certified infotainers. So I work for some of the clients, and some of our other infotainers work for other clients. And one of the things I do remember learning was that we want to match what people have had in the future. So if you have a pretty high energy person, whoever they get first, they like, right? And it's kind of this thing that if you need to, that person's busy and you need someone else in their place, make sure you have someone of similar quality, right? Let's say not quality, but similar energy. And
Right.
and whatever people have first, they fall in love with. And so, that may not apply to a lot of people, but in our business, that was something. And another thing that I remember, now that you're jogging my memory, is giving people too much choice creates that, paralysis by analysis. And
Absolutely.
and I remember early on, I was selling two of our infotainers, and I kind of said, this guy's like this and this guy's like this. Which one do you want? And they didn't have enough information to and it just stretched it out. And I stopped doing that. I just said, I'm going to pick who I think's best, put them forward, and go, this is your guy. And it just sped up, the sales process so much, because it was just so much more clear cut. So that there is that famous jar jams experiment where they had like 20 different types of jams, and how many did they sell? And then they reduced it down to like 6 or 8 or something, and they sold way more, at the same flea market. So reducing choice does improve on the, commitment. So that would probably be my big one.
Okay. So let's bring this all the way around. Let's just finish with this one thing. What would you give to my listeners, one thing, one takeaway that they can take away from everything you've said, they can use today or tomorrow? What would you suggest?
So I wrote a book, and it's called Engage First. It's not going to be out till October, so it's still a ways away. And that title is really what we're about, is that, it's how to capture attention to tell, sell, and sway. And so you really can't communicate or sell or do anything you want unless people are actually paying attention. And so making sure that we make an effort to engage, that we actually, there's a willingness to try and connect with people, because so many people are living in their own world right now. They're head down, shut down on the phone. How do we get them to be head up and lit up, right? How do we, bring more of ourselves to the moment, be present, and engage with these people, and kind of get back that human connection. So I just want to leave them with these 2 words: engage first.
Fantastic. Anders, that was perfect. Now, if somebody wanted to get hold of you, either they want your services or be coached by you, or even just to contact you to say hi, how would they do it?
Well, definitely you can check out our website, and it's engagify.ai. I'm going to spell that ENGAGIFY.ai. And the AI is not artificial intelligence, by the way, Michael. It stands for authentic interactions. That's what our AI stands for. Okay. So you can go on the website, you can reach out that way. On LinkedIn is probably where I hang out socially the most. So it's LinkedIn/Anders Boulanger, all one word. I'll spell it again. Spell this part too. ANDERS. B as in boy. OULANGER. It looks like Anders Boulanger. Okay, so you can reach out to me there, and of course we can DM and set something up in a call or whatever. So yeah, thanks for having me, Michael. Appreciate it.
No problem. And I'm glad to have you. And this has really been entertaining, the first and foremost, but I learned so much about what you do and how you do it and the importance of what you do. So thank you very much for coming on, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks a lot.
Well, hold on, folks. Don't go anywhere. Let me just read a few of our sponsors that we have. Struggling to reach success? Maybe it's time to quit. In Quit Your Way to Success by Rodney Davis, this reveals 27 steps to breaking bad habits that hold you back. This powerful book helps you rewire your mindset, take control of your actions, and turn setbacks into stepping stones. With real life examples, motivational quotes, and actionable lessons, especially for sales professionals, you'll gain the tools to quit, what's stopping you, and start winning. Transform your future today. So Quit Your Way to Success by Rodney Davis, available now on Amazon. And this is a nonprofit called Revved Up Kids. This is something I believe in wholeheartedly. Revved Up Kids is on a mission to protect children and teens from sexual abuse, exploitation, and trafficking. They provide prevention training programs for children, teens, and adults. To learn more, go to revvedupkids.org. That's REVVEDUPKIDS.org. Well, that's a wrap, folks. A huge thank you to our special guest for sharing such incredible insights today. And of course, a big shout out to you, our amazing listeners, for tuning in and spending your time with us. Remember, networking isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. So take what you've learned today, get out there, and make some meaningful connections. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little networking inspiration. Let's keep the conversation going. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or my website, michaelaforman.com. Remember, until next time, keep practicing, keep connecting, and keep building those relationships. This is Michael A. Forman signing off. Take care and happy networking.